I'm good. You guys good?
Yeah, we're ready. All right, Chief, so what can you tell us?
Well, yesterday afternoon, approximately 3:05, one of the officers with the department stopped a Honda Accord being driven by Jaleesa Gaines of McIntosh on Highway 43. Ms. Gaines gave some false information to the officer regarding her name, date of birth, her identifying information, and was subsequently arrested. After she was arrested, the officer obtained consent to search her vehicle. During the search of the vehicle, he discovered a newborn baby boy wrapped in a blanket in the trunk, and the baby was deceased. And at that point, he called for investigators, as well as a member of the Clark County District Attorney's Office and the Clark County Coroner. When they arrived, the vehicle was processed and impounded, and the baby was taken to the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences in Mobile.
Can you speak as to why there are no charges filed against this mother yet?
Well, right now we're waiting on the autopsy report from the Department of Forensic Sciences, and that will determine what type of charges, if any, that will be filed against the mother.
Is there anything you can tell us about what the mother has expressed to you or the investigators about perhaps what may have happened? Or
she hasn't said a whole lot as far as what may have happened to the baby at this point.
You met with the district attorney and others for about an hour or so. So
yes, sir.
What from that meeting can you tell us? Anything new transpired, or something you think that maybe has added to this case that you?
Well, as far as new developments, there was some new information that came forward this morning that resulted in the investigators obtaining more search warrants, which they are out executing at this time. There were a couple of new people identified that are possible witnesses that they're trying to locate and interview as well. So we're just looking at every avenue. As we said this morning, we have a baby who never had the chance to speak for themselves. So we're having to speak for him, and we take that very seriously, and we want to cover all our bases in this case.
Talk to us again why it's important to move slow and deliberately in this case.
There again, just to make sure we do not miss anything. We want to make sure that whatever charges are filed, whatever case, or if a case should be filed, that we have everything in place that we can be successful in any prosecution that may take place.
Were there any signs of any physical trauma to the baby?
Well, there again, we would have to wait for the autopsy report for that. I just briefly viewed the baby, so I could not speak to that.
If there may be a crime here, but there may not be a crime. I mean, it's possible that you were telling us earlier it was a newborn. I mean, it had been born within 24 hours or so?
Well, sir, at most several days, probably.
Okay. So is it possible that someone else was involved in this crime, or was it just simply you're interviewing people that may have known about her pregnancy and her...
Interviewing people that may have known her, may have known about the pregnancy, so on and so forth. There again, as far as anyone else being involved, we couldn't really speculate on that. We're just looking at all avenues right now.
Has she shown any remorse or anything like that?
Well, to a degree, possibly, but not to the degree that we would expect. So.
And the district attorney is saying or telling you that you can hold her on what I imagine is a misdemeanor of giving false identity, or what, how does that categorize, and how does the law allow you all to hold her on such a minor charge?
Well, sir, it's not necessarily the minor charge, it's the possible pending charges that could come forth depending on the medical examiner's report.
Okay.
And so you're anticipating knowing more details either late today or tomorrow about what she may or may not be charged with?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
And the medical examiner, we're talking about something that could happen this afternoon. You may have some answers or clear answers in 2 days. What have they told you?
Well, as far as a preliminary report, we're hoping we would have something within a day or so. As far as the final report, that could take several weeks.
And Chief, we talked about this earlier, but I mean, this is such a devastating case. Like you said, a newborn baby who didn't have a chance to live with. How are y'all handling this and dealing with this?
Well, naturally, in a case like this, most of our officers having children themselves, it's very traumatic. And yesterday afternoon was a very difficult time, but everyone seems to be recovering well today and focusing on the investigation and the task at hand.
Talk to us a little bit about how something as horrible as this affects a small town like this.
Well, naturally, in a small town, when something like this happens, most everyone knows the persons associated, and especially with it being a baby involved, naturally hearts are just broken, and a lot of folks trying to figure out how something like this could happen.
Do you know if the mother was known in this area? Did she have connections to Jackson at all?
Well, sir, she was actually from McIntosh, from what I understand, and so most of her family would probably be in that area.
And you said she first indicated to the officer that pulled her over that she was on her way to the Walmart. Is that where she was really headed, or did she eventually say she was going to the hospital or anything like that? Is that known?
No, ma'am. She never made a statement other than that, from what I understand. So there again, we're still looking into every avenue, but that was her initial statement last night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Can we get that microphone from you, sir?
So, has she been taken to the county jail just yet, or she's still here?
Well, sir, she'll be going up there in just a little while.
Is it? I mean, I know we. Is that something that we can get video of? Yes, sir. We wouldn't have a problem with it.
News 5's Chad Petrie again. That was a quick update from Jackson's police chief, Jerry Taylor. Again, they have arrested the mother of this child, Jaleesa Gaines of McIntosh, 23 years old. Now, again, they've only arrested her on the charge of giving a false information to a police officer. At this point, she is not being charged in connection to the death of this infant boy that was found in the trunk of her vehicle. They say she also has other children. Right now they're working on running down search warrants at this point. They say they're really waiting for the medical examiner to weigh in on this case to determine whether or not they believe a crime happened with this child. We will keep you updated on this story. For now, I'm News 5's Chad Petrie, live in Jackson, Alabama.